Hey, Dani K coming to you from Dani K Gym Wellness, and I tried something new with the live schedule thing, and I ain't got that down pat yet. So I'm sorry if y'all got the reminder and the video didn't start. This video started. I had this already set up and prepared, so need a little bit more schooling on the scheduled live thing. At any rate. But so how do you or what gets the peak on your bicep? So a lot of time, I mean, I've had this over many years, like a lot of people, you know, thinking that the palms up curl, you know, gets, or any kind of curl gets the peak. So what I want you to do, whoever's watching, however you're watching, you know, take and, you know, make a bicep, right? And then find the top part of your bicep, like don't just point at your bicep, but point right at the peak, right? So you make a bicep and you point at the peak and then you put your arm down. So the peak runs along the long head of your bicep. The long head of your bicep, working the long head of your bicep is what gets you the peak, the ball, like the higher point of your bicep. And you know, that does not just come from doing bicep curls. Over all the years that I've been in the gym, working, training, mainly guys, I mean women, maybe because they're learning from the guys, or you know, they're just learning from magazines or whatever it might be, but most people always only do palms up curls. So you know, they're doing, and I think I'm gonna try and put it down a little bit, gonna move it down. So they're only doing like these, you know, with the palms up, like this kind of curl, right? And so you're doing dumbbell curls that way, you're doing barbell curls that way, you're going over to the preacher curl, you know, the preacher curl where you have that bench, you know, your elbows resting on the bench and you're curling it up, you know. So all of those are, as I call them, palms up curls, right? So yeah, you're doing kind of different variations, but you're still working basically the only, like one part of your bicep. You have two biceps, two bicep muscles. That's why it's called biceps, bi. So, and if I can, I'm not sure if I can, like with the lighting and everything, I don't know, but there's a little line that goes up right there. So you got your long head and your short head, right? So, when you are doing palms up, you're mainly, like, you're incorporating both. It's hard to, because they're in conjunction, it's hard to just isolate or not, it's hard to just use one muscle of those bicep muscles, right? So when you're doing palms up curls, yes, the long head is working, but the emphasis, when you're doing palms up curls, the emphasis is on the short head, the inside, which that's not wrong, but if that's all you're doing, folks, you're missing out on the main part of your bicep, the main part of your arm that's actually giving you the peak, that actually makes it look like you have bigger muscle, right? So that comes from emphasizing, the peak comes from emphasizing the long head. You emphasize the long head through doing like hammer curls. So hammer curl is where, again, like, I'm too short for this. So where you're holding it like this, up and down, right? So you keep your elbow tight to the side and you lift it up and down like this. So that is a hammer curl. That's gonna emphasize the long head. There's another hammer curl where you put it on the side, like around, I kind of say like a pendulum, right? So you're holding it down here and lifting it up like that, kind of like a pendulum. That's still a hammer curl. That's still getting the long head. I don't do this one too much, but if you take the bar, whether it's a straight bar or easy curl bar, and you, instead of holding it in line with your shoulder, maybe go an inch or two inside your shoulder, that puts a little bit more emphasis, like a close grip kind of thing with your straight bar, even though it's a palms up, closer inside the shoulder, like an inch or two inside the shoulder, that puts some emphasis on the long head of your bicep. So you have to work the long head of your bicep to get that, you know, to get the peak bigger. There's something else. Oh, And a lot of times people think when they're doing like a wide palms up curl, that's still getting the short head, right? Because you're wide outside of the shoulder, the emphasis is more on the short head, right? So when you're trying to increase that peak, you're trying to get that peak bigger, you're trying to get your bicep bigger, trying to get that little ball on top, you know, a little bit bigger. That's where you have to do the long head. You have to work the long head of your bicep. And that's where the hammer curls come in, or like I said, the closer grip inside your shoulder, doing that kind of grip emphasizes the long head. The hammer curls, across the chest, or pendulum hammer curl, however, whatever you want to call that. Also, another thing, when you do incline biceps, so basically where you're, like an incline bench, so you're kind of back on like a 45-degree angle on your bench, and you're either doing hammer curl, or like a lift and twist, maybe not the palms up, but just like a hammer curl, where you're stretching. When you're inclined, you're stretching that long head, which is actually a good thing too, if you're stretching that muscle as you're coming up to work it. So that's going to make, put more emphasis on that long head, stronger on the long head, put the peak on the long head, right? So again, if, those that are you kind of just like, chiming in, watching in, take your bicep, take your arm, make a bicep, and then put your finger where the peak is, where the ball top is, and you put your arm down. That's where that's where the peak is. The peak is where the long head is. So you have to work the long head. And so if anybody's watching, like I see Ted does some power lifting, chest squats and all that stuff. He's in a lot of competitions and stuff. He kills it. So give me some likes and hearts if you do like hammer curls and work and do some work on and emphasizing that long head. Like let me know, like drop a comment and let me know if you've only ever done palms up curls. Like I said, I have seen in the gym where most of the time that's all people do is like palms up curls, whether they're doing wide, they're doing dumbbells, they're doing barbells, they're doing wide barbell, barbell. No one, very few people hit that long head by doing the hammer curls, or, like a pendulum kind of hammer curl kind of thing. You get people on the cable crosses where they've got, they put the cable cross things up and they're coming in like that. You're hitting that short head. You're still doing some work, obviously. You're still engaging that long head because, like I said, when you're doing something like that with those biceps, two muscles, they're working together. But, in order to emphasize one or the other, you have to do certain like a certain lift, certain hand, grip the dumbbell or the barbell or whatever a different way. So, definitely, if you're, especially guys or girls, you know what I mean? Like a lot of times, people want a well-rounded muscle. And if you're always doing, and that's with anything, if you're only doing one angle with any of your muscle groups, even triceps, there's three muscles. So there's different angles that you can work to get those different, tricep muscle heads, right? And if you're only just doing one particular motion, one particular angle all the time, the other part of that muscle is going to go flat, right? So, it's very important to, learn the different angles and learn, how to emphasize the different muscle groups. And like I said, with the biceps and the triceps, obviously when you're working a tricep or when you're working a bicep, when you're working your chest, all your different muscles are in that group are still engaging, but how do you emphasize that one particular, part of the arm, the chest, the leg, the back, whatever it might be, so that you can increase that, and in this case, the bicep, increase that peak. So how do you increase that peak? And then you increase that peak by working the long head. So mainly that's the hammer curls, like again, the close inside your shoulder, that kind of emphasizes the long head. my brain, I had a brain fart. You know, but I mainly do like hammer curls. I do across the, you know, across the chest pendulums. I do incline. I'm not a big fan of the close in because sometimes that can put some strain on some, you know, different, like your different joints, like whether it's your shoulder, elbow, or your wrist. So it just depends on the bar, depends on, you know, like if you already have, you know, some limitations in those joints, you know, so, you know, try that out with a lighter weight before you actually, you know, go to a heavier weight and then end up hurting something, right? So, you know, a lot of times people are asking me, you know, how do you get that peak on the bicep? How do you get your bicep bigger? You know, what different angles, you know, or they see me doing when I'm, you know, doing my biceps. And actually the conversation started today because you know, today's my bicep tricep day. So, you know, I'm doing, you know, I do wide grip, I do hammer curl, I do a pendulum curl, you know, I do a lift and twist, I do shoot, I can't remember, I can't remember what the heck it's called, but like an isolated concentration curl. Whoo, God, my brain is like crazy today. So I'm doing, and with my triceps, same thing. You know, I'm doing a tricep push down. I'm doing a reverse grip. I'm doing, you know, overhead. I'm doing dips. So, you know, I'm hitting my triceps in different ways, different, like the different variations to hit the different angles, to hit the different heads, so that, you know, your one side isn't flat, you know. So again, long head, emphasizing the long head when you're working your biceps is the key in getting that peak and getting that ball on your bicep, getting your bicep to look bigger, right? So, you know, do some homework, come talk to me. You know, I can, guy or girl, let's set you up on a bicep, you know, bicep tricep day. We should work at least, you know, opposing something, back and bicep. And again, if you're working a back and bicep exercise or day, do your back first and then your biceps. So you're working your larger muscle group and then your smaller muscle group. I did a video on that a little while ago. So hopefully you guys that are watching, tuning in, are seeing that or remember that. So at any rate, you know, push some, you know, likes and hearts if this helps, you know, and if you're already doing, you know, some hammer curls, you know, the different styles, and tell me, like, put a wow face if anybody is out there that does that pendulum curl, you know, whether you're watching it now live or on the replay. You know, I mean, I don't ever see, like, I think I've seen one or two people do that pendulum curl, and I'm like, oh, okay, so they kind of, like, they've done their homework, they kind of know different angles, and it's good to see people doing different angles instead of the same old, palms up dumbbell, palms up barbell, palms up easy curl, palms up on the preacher curl. I'm just like, Jesus, like, you know, vary it up. Come on, change it up, guys, right? So that you get that peak. So hopefully this has helped you, and you know, maybe if you haven't worked your biceps and triceps today, or if you haven't worked your biceps at all this week, whatever, maybe you're going to do it later on today, maybe you're going to do it tomorrow. Try this tip. Let me know. Leave me a comment after you try this tip or whatever, and private message me or whatever, and let me know how that kind of hit you a little bit different. Maybe you were like, wow, I like this, it's a little bit different, I've never thought about that. You know, just drop me some comments and let me know, you know, how this has helped you, and, you know, hopefully, you know, you get that peak going on your bicep, get that bicep looking a little bit bigger, a little bit more rounder, fuller kind of thing, right? So you know, drop me a comment and let me know how else I can help you on your fitness journey. DaniKJWellness.com, Dani K Wellness on Facebook, and also on Instagram. The gym now has a Instagram, you know, where I do a little bit more tips, a little bit more, you know, nutritional training kind of thing. So, you know, hook me up or follow me on Instagram. It's Dani K Wellness on Instagram. So until next time, stay in tune, stay informed, stay motivated. Bye.